Welcome back to Friends of the Night. NASA came out and they said, we are going to put 16 of our scientists 100% focused on just figuring out what these UFOs in our sky are. Now, earlier this year, the first or the second UFO hearing came out, and it really kind of made this year the year of UFOs, where government officials came out and said, hey, listen, there are things in our sky that we can't explain. Pilots are seeing them, the general public are seeing them, and UFO recordings are at an all-time high. Now, that could just be because everybody has phones now, but again, it is recorded that within the past 20 years, UFO sightings are at an all-time high. Now, NASA coming out and saying, hey, we're going to put 16 of our scientists on this, to me is strange, because this, if you check out our history of UFOs and our government working on UFOs, this has been happening forever. This isn't like the first time that a bunch of scientists are thinking about UFOs. We can go back to every, UFO encounter that really had some substance and figure out what was being done at that time. We go back to, let's start at 1947, the Roswell crash. Everybody knows about it, okay? After the Roswell crash, there was a group put together called the Majestic 12. There were a group of people put together to just try to figure out what the heck this crash truly was. Okay, these sightings that are happening at that time in 1947, there was a group put together, scientific community put together just to figure out what was going on. Okay, we go a few years forward, 1952. Okay, the Robertson panel. That group of scientists were put together after the UFOs over the White House. Okay, so for about a week or two, UFOs were flying over the White House. It was in the newspaper. The general public were seeing these things, and the government saw it as enough of a threat to put together a scientific community called the Robertson panel. If you don't believe me, type in on Google Robertson panel and you will see there was a group put together inspired off of the UFOs over the White House. So now NASA comes out and they're like, okay, now we're going to get serious. We're going to put together 16 scientists to truly focus on what's going on. And I just think it's really interesting because, you're telling me that you weren't thinking about this the entire time. You're telling me that none of your scientists there now have been looking at any of the footage of space, seeing if there's any objects recorded in the sky. It just doesn't make any sense. It, to me, seems like we're dancing around. We start the year off with the UFO hearing where the government shows us a couple videos that are really fast. It's really hard to tell what's going on, and they don't really talk about any of the famous encounters that we all know of. Like when we think of the alien grays, there's a lot of encounters that we want to know about. Like they didn't even touch about Roswell. Like why at the UFO hearing did we not say, hey, Roswell, what happened? Like, tell us the truth, because when you go to the Roswell Museum, there's no famous weather balloon hoax. There's no, there's nothing there. So what truly happened? We would like to know that. Let's start there. Okay, so I don't know. I just think now NASA's coming out and saying, okay, we have 16 scientists that are going to be put on this and they're dedicated to figure out what these UFOs are. But you've had the CIA, you've had all these other groups put together for the past, 50 years or more working on this stuff, but now NASA's coming out and they're really going to get behind it. When I think they were probably behind it the entire time. I just don't believe that they weren't looking at their footage from all these years, making sure there weren't any UFOs in there and thinking about it. I mean, to me, space, UFOs, it's all tied together. If you're working for NASA, you're thinking about both things. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents, guys. I think when you go back to history and you look at the present day of what we're talking about with these aliens and what NASA is about to say, I think our history says it all. So let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you soon.